something where when you listen to it, you really get the meaning of it, and it not only from like the words or the tone or anything like that, but just from purely listening to it, you get a feeling.
Do you still do the same type of music?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a distinct style, I guess, which is kind of like poppy, indie, acoustic music. I've been trying to do a lot more upbeat things recently. It's a lot easier to write something like slow and legato, but I've been working on that.
So do you even consider yourself a lyricist, or more of a lyricist through the music?
Good question. I try to do both. I try to make them parallel to each other. Well, I've been doing the single thing for a couple of years now, and it's been great because I'm very much a perfectionist, and so I love having control over exactly what sound is emitted to the listeners. And so I have been focusing on that in the past, and just playing shows around town. And I'm very involved in the music community. I have a lot of friends who are in a lot of bands, and so it's pretty easy for me to get shows and things like that. But more recently, I've been feeling the want to have like a more full sound, because I'm very limited in what I can do. I mean, yeah, I have the piano and I can do synth sounds and stuff like that on the keyboard, but there's only so much that one person can do. And so recently I've teamed up with a friend of mine. So my main instrument is definitely my voice. When I was a little kid, when I started to talk even, I started to sing, and there are pictures of me just like dancing around the pool, like singing my heart out. And then I really developed, or I started to play piano to almost accompany my voice, and it's because that's what I love to do.
You said your mom like kind of pushed you when you were like a little kid?
Yeah.
And did she start off in piano? Like, does she play piano or?
No, she doesn't play piano. My dad played a little bit, but neither one of them were too musical. It was more that they had an appreciation for music. I was actually named after Carly Simon. And so it was really my own interest in singing, and then picking up an instrument was a way to accompany. So the reason that I chose piano over any other instrument was because when I was a kid, we had a very large piano in our house, and I started playing it. When I was in high school, I started getting back into playing piano again, very actively, and I think it sprouted off a really bad breakup, and I just needed an outlet. And so during my free period from class, I went and got on the piano that was back behind our stage at school, and I just started doing things. And then the next semester I was in theory and composition. I know for at least the first couple songs that we arranged together, we took our songs that we did in solo projects, or at least I did, and then we basically transformed it into a way that was more effective for a duo. I'll let you go through it once.
Okay.
Job goes move out of their house, they're to the end. It's been a while since I dreamed of you. Told him to move up to, he must have get through, but baby, he was wrong.
If I start with more of a musical aesthetic, then I kind of can vibe off of however the music itself feels, as opposed to using the music to express, or to accompany rather, any message that I'm singing or any story that I'm telling. Whereas if it's the other way around, And it starts with a specific story that I want to tell, or a specific little poetic anecdote that I want to expand on, then usually it'll come the other way around.
I think it really depends on the situation. Sometimes we'll get inspired from a situation and we want to tell a story of something specific like that, and then sometimes it's you really want to get across a specific message. But I don't know, at least for me, it's not really about telling or trying to influence the audience in any way. It's just more about expressing my inner emotions, really. When you're playing solo, you don't really have a tempo that you have to stick to, because you can change it whenever you want. I mean, although you should stay to something, it's really not as important as when you're in a group. And I think one of the hardest things for me was, and still is, just keeping to the same beat that Brandon's playing, because I just haven't had very much experience with that. Although you can play with a metronome, it just kind of messes up. But, yeah, it definitely has to be a lot more structured, because when you're playing solo, you can just freeform all you want. But then when you're playing with someone else, you can't just like bust that out in the middle of a song, because then it won't be complementary to each other.
Yeah, when I play solo, there ends up being a lot of extended 20-minute jazz odysseys as I try to remember the verse that I wrote the previous day.
It's more on an influence from Zooey Deschanel's project She and Him, the Hush Sound, Lemuria, songs like that with a really strong female lead.
The music that I actually played, as far as starting out my career, I would characterize as noise. I feel like that was necessary because now I kind of have more of a gauge for that divide between music and crap. But in some ways, that crap is a necessary part of music. Motivated me, at least, to move towards an ensemble type thing as opposed to solo music. Mostly, I'd say it was just the versatility and like the musical possibilities. So you can have any one theme or one song and possibilities within that as far as just an instrument and a voice. But if you have two instruments as well as two imaginations feeding off one another, even if it's only, just in our case, a duo, it doesn't have to be a full ensemble, there's just always more possibility for expansion of any one musical idea.
I was just bored. So if you'd like to check out any of our music, you can go to myspace.com/crepepaperwings or search for us on Facebook, Crepe Paper Wings.
Oh, you're right, there's a lot of